Well, hello, kids. It's May 1st. I got my funny little hat on here today. Well, my horse is a little tired. It's been 6 weeks now that we've been out of school. It's now May. Anyhow, continuing along with the best school year ever. Yesterday we went through chapter 5. We learned about Imogene. Oh, good old Imogene Herdman. Spinning her tales about how kids go into the teacher's lounge and are never seen or heard from again. The great mysteries of the teacher's lounge. And yes, I am here in the teacher's lounge at our school, getting ready to read for you chapter 6 on the ongoing saga of the Herdmans and their funny antics that keeps this book interesting. But here we go. Chapter 6, the best school year ever. Once a year, we had to take an IQ test, and a psychology test, and an aptitude test, which showed what you might grow up to be if the Herdmans let you get out of the Woodrow Wilson School alive. But the only test the Herdmans ever bothered to take was the eye test. This surprised everybody because it meant that at least they knew the letters of the alphabet. You had to cover up one eye with a little piece of paper and read the letters on a chart, and then cover up the other eye and read them again. If you couldn't do it, it meant that you had to have glasses. Sometimes it just meant that you were scared, like Lester Yeagle. If you don't do it right, Gladys Herdman told Lester, it means your eyes are in backwards, and they have to take them out and put them in the other way. This made Lester so nervous that he couldn't tell L from M or X from K, and when the doctor said, well, let's just switch eyes, he went all to pieces and had to go lie down in the nurse's room until his mother could come and get him. Besides having 3 other kids and a baby, Miss Yeagle was the school bus driver, so she couldn't waste much time just letting Lester be hysterical. But Lester was too hysterical to tell her what had happened. All he said was, Herdman. Which one, Miss Yeagle said. Which one did it? And Lester said, Gladys did it. Did what? The nurse wanted to know. Gladys wasn't even there. I don't know what, Miss Yeagle said, and I can't wait around to find out because I had to leave the baby with the Avon lady and it's almost time to drive the bus. Come on, Lester, honey. Maybe you can find out, she told the nurse. Of course, Gladys said she didn't do anything, and the eye doctor said he certainly didn't do anything, but I got to look at that kid's braces, he said, and I'll bet you that's his problem. I don't think so. Having braces was no problem. Not having braces was a problem. Gloria Colburn's little sister got braces, and Gloria didn't, and Gloria cried and carried on for weeks. I'll grow up ugly with an overbite, she said, and she didn't even know for sure what one was. She just wanted braces like everyone else. That night, the nurse called Miss Yeagle to say that apparently Gladys didn't do anything to Lester. We think the trouble may be his braces, she suggested. What braces? Miss Yeagle said. Lester doesn't have braces. But then she went and looked in his mouth, and she nearly died. What have you got in there? She yelled. What is all that? It looks like paper clips. Sure enough, Lester had paper clips bent around his teeth, and he got hysterical all over again because his mother pried them off. The nurse said she never heard of paper clips, but they all want to have braces or bands or something, and they don't know how much braces cost. Well, these cost 35 cents, Miss Eagle said. According to Lester, Gladys Herdman put them on him, and that's what she charged him. And let me tell you, that kid better never try to get on my bus, or any other Herdmans either. Getting thrown off the bus was almost the worst thing that could happen to you. You had to go to school anyway, no matter what, so if you got thrown off the bus, it meant that your father had to hang around and take you, or your mother had to stop whatever she was doing to take you, so you got yelled at right and left. You even got yelled at when it happened to someone else. "Don't you get thrown off the bus," your mother would say. Mrs. Herdman probably never said this, but she didn't have to worry about it anyway. The Herdmans never got thrown off a bus because nobody ever let them on one. Sometimes, though, they would hang around what would have been their bus stop, if they had one, smoking cigars, starting fights, and telling little kids that the bus was full of bugs. Big bugs. Gladys told Maxine Cooper's little brother, Donald, "Don't you ever hear them? They chomp through anything to get food. You better give me your lunch, Donald. I'll take it to school for you." Of course, that was the end of Donald's lunch, but at least Maxine said it was just a day-old bologna sandwich and some carrot sticks, so they probably wouldn't do that again. "They're just jealous," Alice told her, "because they have to walk while everybody else gets to ride and be warm and comfortable." "Come on, Alice," I said, "if you think the school bus is warm and comfortable, you must be out of your mind." But Imogene Herdman was standing right behind us, so Alice ignored me and said again how wonderful it was to ride the school bus and how she would hate to be the Herdmans who couldn't ride the school bus because they were so awful. After that, they began to show up every morning at Maxine's bus stop, looking sneaky and dangerous like some outlaw gang about to hold up the stagecoach. "But they don't do anything," Maxine said, looking worried. "They just stand around. It's scary." It scared Donald all right, and after 3 or 4 days, he wouldn't even come out the door. So Maxine stood on her front porch and yelled, "My mother says for you to go home." "We can't go home," Imogene yelled back. "We have to go to school." And then they all nodded at each other, Maxine said, just as if they were this big normal family of ordinary kids who got up and brushed their teeth and combed their hair and marched out ready to learn something. Maxine felt pretty safe on her own porch, so she said. "And why don't you just get on the bus and go?" "Get on your bus?" Imogene said. "Get on bus 6? And Gladys hollered that she wouldn't get on bus 6 if it was the last bus in the world. And Leroy said, "Me neither." And then when the bus came, Maxine told us they all ran behind the McCarthy's front hedge and just stood there staring at us. "What did Miss Eagle do?" I asked. Well, she yelled at them, "Don't you kids even think about getting on my bus?" And Ollie said, "I'll never get on bus 6. He said it twice. Listen, Maxine leaned forward and lowered her voice. "I think the Herdmans are scared of the bus." This was the craziest thing I'd ever heard. "It's just a bus," I said. "I know that," Maxine said, "but it's my bus, and I have to ride on it, and I don't want to ride on a doomed bus." This sounded crazy, too. But nobody laughed because if the Herdmans were scared on bus 6, it was the only thing in the world they were scared of. So you had to figure they must know something no one else knew. Whatever it was, they weren't telling. But every day, there they were at the bus stop, whispering and shaking their heads. Charlie thought they were stealing pieces of the bus, one little piece at a time, and someday the whole bus would just fall apart and scatter kids all over the street. Eugene Preston brought in a copy of Amazing Comics about a robot bus that suddenly began to go backwards and sideways and turn itself over and lock all its doors so the people were trapped inside, yelling and screaming. In the comic book, the mighty Marvo showed up and rescued everybody. But Eugene said he wouldn't want to count on mighty Marvo if it was up against the Herdmans. I just know something's going to happen, Maxine said. I keep hearing this strange noise on the bus. I don't know how she would hear anything except kids hollering, but Eloise Albright said she heard a strange noise too. Some kids said they smelled something on the bus, but who doesn't? Egg sandwiches, poison ivy medicine, Alice Winkleton's little princess perfume. Lester finally asked his mother if there was anything wrong with their bus, but she just said, yeah, it's full of kids. But bus 6 was assigned to take the 3rd grade to the dairy farm to study cows, and Ollie Herdman refused to go. Not me, Ollie said. Not on that bus. Of course, this was good news for the cows, and the teacher was pretty happy, but the rest of the 3rd grade was scared to death. Boomer Malone's little sister, Gwenda, said the suspense was awful, waiting for the bus to blow up or turn over, and between that and having to milk a cow, the whole 3rd grade was wiped out for the rest of the day. By this time, Maxine had a nervous wreck along with Donald and Lester and everybody else on bus 6. More and more kids were feeling sick to their stomachs and then feeling fine as soon as the bus left. And they all said the same thing, that they were scared to ride the bus because the Herdmans wouldn't get on it. What kind of reason is that, my mother wanted to know. Of course they won't get on the bus. Thelma Eagle won't let them on the bus. Nobody wants them on the bus. Something bad is going to happen, Charlie told her, and the Herdmans know what it is. That's why they won't get on. They know bus 6 is doomed. Doomed? Mother stared at him. You watch too much television. Is that what everybody thinks? We said yes. Then why doesn't somebody just put the Herdmans on the bus and make them ride it, Mother said. Since it wasn't my bus, I thought that was a good idea, and so did Charlie, and so did Mr. Crabtree. I guess because that's what he did. We have to ride your bus, Lester, Gladys said. She grinned this big grin so Lester could see her teeth all shiny with paper clips, the principal said. I thought you were scared to ride this bus, Maxine told Imogene. You said it was doomed. I didn't say that, Imogene told her. You said that. She climbed on the bus and walked up and down the aisle, picking out a seat next to some victim. It looks all right to me. Miss Eagle was pretty mad at first, but she told my mother it wasn't all bad to have the Herdmans on the bus. They told everybody to shut up, she said, and everybody did. Not for long, though. Claude and Leroy stole a bunch of baby turtles from the pet store and took them on the bus and put them down some kids' shirts. Leroy said later that he was amazed at what happened. He thought the turtles were dead and he was going to take them back to the pet store and complain. The turtles weren't dead. They probably saw who had them and decided to stay in their shells till they were big enough to bite back. But it was nice and warm inside the shirts, so they began to stick their heads out and crawl around. Of course, nobody knew they had turtles down their backs. Nobody knew what they had down their backs, but Donald Cooper thought it was the big bugs, hungry and tired of peanut butter sandwiches. I've got the big bugs on me, he yelled, and right away all the other kids began to yell and scream and jump up and down and thrash around, so Miss Eagle had to stop the bus and get everybody settled down. It was another week before all the turtles came out from under the seats and behind the seat back, so it was a good thing that they were little to begin with and didn't grow very fast. Once the Herdmans had collected all the turtles, they got off the bus and never came back. Don't want to ride this dumb bus, Ralph muttered, and I guess that was the real truth. They just wanted to get on the bus, take over the territory, wham a few kids, pick out the best lunch, Gwenda Malone's usually because Gwenda always had 2 desserts and no healthy food, and then get off the bus and stay off, which they did. For once, though, they weren't the only ones who got what they wanted. Lester's baby teeth fell out like popcorn, all those paper clips. Miss Eagle said, and this second teeth came in all crooked and sideways. So he had more braces and bigger braces and fancier braces than anybody else in Woodrow Wilson School. Maybe even the whole world. Well, that was chapter 6. Well, I see my friend up here has gone completely asleep. Well, interesting story. The Herdmans and how they commandeered the bus and the havoc that they wreaked over everybody. Crazy. Anyhow, we're more than halfway through the story now. We've probably only got 2 or 3 more chapters left before we finish up this funny book. So that's it for today. And as always, you all take care. Stay safe. Stay out of trouble. My little buddy here. That's it. Say hi to everybody. Okay. Be kind to somebody now. We'll see you tomorrow for chapter 7. Actually, it's Friday. That's right, it's Friday. Yay! We'll see you Monday. Bye now.